from sea to shining sea and everywhere in between.
Wherever you are around the country.
This is America's Outdoor Talk program, Outdoors This Week. Outdoors This Week.
Get the kids, get the dog, get the cat. Sit them all down next to the radio. We are going to be talking about the great outdoors today.
And now, with America's latest news and talk on the great outdoors.
This is a dangerous place, man. You've got 1,000-pound bears wanting something that you have.
Here's your host, Alex Langer.
Why, thank you, Mr. Announcer. I appreciate that rousing intro, and I'm excited because we have one of my personal heroes here today on the show. A guy by the name of Guido Hibdon. Guido and I go back years, you know. We actually go back decades. I'll leave it at that. Guido Hibdon is one of the greatest multi-species anglers in the world. That's not just me saying that. That's people like Kevin Van Dam saying it, Peter T., Rick Clunn, Roland Martin. I mean, a few of the lesser-known luminaries in the bass fishing world feel that he's a role model for professional anglers. His son, Dion, also won the Bassmaster Classic, just like Guido did, a couple of years after Guido did. It's the only father and son Bassmaster Classic championship winning duo in history, in the history of the world. That's probably never going to be repeated, or not going to be repeated in the next few decades. I don't know of any other father and son team that are fishing tournaments simultaneously. They hail from Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, which is right down the road from Bass Pro Shops. I've been to Guido's house. I've fished Lake of the Ozarks with him. Guido also has a brood coming up. He's got grandchildren and great-grandchildren. His grandson, Peyton, is also cutting a swath through the bass fishing world right now. Stick around, folks. You really enjoy this interview because I'm going to enjoy it, and we'll talk to Guido Hibdon right now. And then, as if that's not enough, we have all of our usual suspects. You know who they are. Come back. We'll be here with everybody. Don't go away.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Ron Linder here for Linder's Angling Edge Television. We're still playing in reruns on the Pursuit Channel, WFN, and a few others. We're going to be playing all new shows on the Outdoor Channel, all the FoxNet shows come January 1st. And we're also here for Seafoam, the world's greatest gas additive. You're storing away your lawnmower or your boat motor, make sure you pour Seafoam in there in order to stabilize your gas and oil. The Fishing Hall of Fame has announced their 2014 inductees. One is Ralph Sportsman from Minnesota. He's had a show for longer than we have, and we've been on television going on 44 years, and he's been on longer. He's been doing this Sportsman Notebook for a long time on WDIO, so he's been on a long time. Also, Jim Bagley. Jim Bagley was the founder of Bagley's Baits, along with Rapala, one of the first of the balsa type things. He was entered into the Hall of Fame. And then you got Doug Johnson of Minnesota, another Minnesota, and this is a muskie guy. And invariably the conversation turns to Lake of the Woods, synonymous with Doug Johnson. And he is a biologist, and he served as point man all through Lake of the Woods where they catch these muskies. They're catching them today. By the way, Lake of the Woods is probably one of the finest, not probably, it is. If you got to name a handful of the top musky waters in the world, it is Lake of the Woods, and Doug Johnson is primarily responsible for it. So, other ones that they got, and I'm just looking, I just got the list of the inductees. I got it here on my desk. Thane Smith of Kansas, an old time. He spent his entire life in the fishing industry as a writer and editor, and he's written for everybody in their Brothers magazine. Dale Stroschein. Dale he was one of the old walleye guides when we had PWT, the Professional Walleye Trail. Dale was one of the first guides. First guides to turn into professional walleye fishing on the whole trail. And he fished us for years. And today he's got a lodge up there, but he is an absolute Hall of Fame. I'm looking over for Barry Woods, also from Minnesota. My gosh, Minnesota, these people over here, there's an honorary title. This is Leighton Shep Shepherd, the Mets man. Now, you got to understand that Shep Shepherd, they put him in the Hall of Fame. This is a character they made up. He's not real. And they used him as he used to write stories. They had a picture with him with his hat, his plaid shirt, and for years, I guess he was the Mets man. It was a number of different characters. He's a composite character. So I guess they put him into the Hall of Fame. So that's it. So we got a whole new bunch into the Fishing Hall of Fame. That's it for now. See you later, folks.
Larry Whiteley and the Outdoor World Report are proudly brought to you by the brand new Rototail, the world's first and only plastic worm with a soft rotating spinner tail. The patented tail generates unbelievable vibration that you and the fish can actually feel just like a spinnerbait or a crankbait. See it at rototail.com. That's rototail.com.
Fine food coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Have you ever wanted to disappear into the woods? Have you ever wanted to tie your own flies, but never taken the time? Have you ever wanted to speak turkey? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Food is important to deer all season long. During the early archery seasons, most deer patterns are food-based. They tend to focus on late summer and early fall succulent plants and soft mass such as fruit and berries. Later, they will switch to hard mass such as acorns, and you should not only be aware of this transition, but where the preferred acorns will be found. Now, during the rut, the bucks will not be that interested in food, but will be very interested in does. But food still comes into play because does are very interested in food as their nutrition is key to the estrus cycle and bearing fawns. The bucks will be hanging around these doe feeding areas. After the rut and into late season, all deer will be feeding heavily. The bucks, after the rigors of the rut, will be trying to regain good condition to go into the winter. At this time, both remaining natural foods and agricultural crops, including winter cover crops, are highly preferred. Find food and you find deer. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Why, thank you, Larry. And just up the road from Larry at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, is where my next guest hails from. I met Guido Hibdon right after he won the Bassmaster Classic. He won the Classic in 1988. And I met him in 1989 when I was just first starting to market the flying lure. And the rest is history. He's always been one of my heroes. He's one of the greatest multi-species anglers in the world. And he's hailed as a master by people like Kevin Van Dam, Peter T., Rick Clunn, Roland Martin, and I'm sure everybody else on the planet. Guido, first of all, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure, sir.
So how have you been lately?
I've been good.
Guido, what are you up to? With your clan?
I still fish the FLW. I mean, just the big tournaments. But other than that, been spending a lot of time with my new little great-granddaughter and crappie fishing and having a good time.
Hey, let me ask you this. When you and I first met, it was around the flying lure. You're known for the Guido bug. Tell me the story of the Guido bug. Where did that all come from?
Well, it's kind of it's a long story, and it's not. Dion, back in, oh my gosh, I don't know when. We kept it quiet for a long time, but the class was give a project in the science class to build something out of plaster of Paris, to build something that was actually useful that you could use. And Dion took a live crawdad and put it in plaster of Paris, and I mean, it was quite a hit. I mean, how he went about doing it, I'm not real sure, but it was put in a plaster of Paris. He ended up winning the deal in the school, and it's kind of history after that. I mean, he brought it home. We fished with it, poured plastic in the mold, and we fished with it. And make a long story short, I won the first tournament in 1978 that I fished with it.
Really?
And then it was, we kept it quiet, but you draw partners, and they were intrigued with it.
And first thing you know, it kind of got out. Been making it ever since. Pretty neat deal. In fact, that's what I was doing this morning, was putting legs in some new ones.
That was kind of the forerunner of the newest, kind of like, the beavers and everything came after that. But that was really the forerunner of the short flipping type baits in soft plastic, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's, it's got a flat belly to it. And there's a reason, at that point in time, we didn't know, it was what it really done. But having the flat belly on it, whenever you rig it flipping, you raise it up and down, and it never falls in the same place twice.
Right.
In other words, you get it over a limb, and whenever you raise it up, it'll fall in a different place in there. And the old bass, she just can't stand it. That's what it amounts to. Well, it was, one of the little secrets that we do to it, we put a rattle in it. They make all kinds of rattles out there on the market, but we cut a little plug out of it, right out of the end of the nose, and we put a rattle up in there, and that's the way we fish it, either on a jig or, just Texas rigging it, either one. But it works.
Right. Let me ask you about the flying lure. We're just coming out with it now again after many, many years of being off the market.
Good deal. I thought I'd never get no more.
People are discovering it. People are saying the things that you and I said about it like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, on Facebook today, there's a guy that caught so many fish he couldn't believe it. He actually said it should be outlawed.
Yeah, well, you get around. You live on a lake. I don't know where you're at or whether you got many docks, but we live on the Lake of the Ozarks, which they call Lake of the Docks.
Right.
And if nobody has ever fished with the flying lure and pitched it around a dock, they're really missing something. I can tell them that. I've ever fished any sort of bait, including the Guido bug, that will go under that dock and find them.
Let me hold you right there, Guido, because we got to go to a break, and then I promise I'll give you the floor right after we come back, all right?
All right.
All right, stay with us, folks. We'll be right back with the great Guido Hibdon himself.
Hang tight. More of America's Outdoor Talk program, Outdoors This Week, after this.
Was a fishing man. He loved his cars and his steel
Wow! Woo! Hold on to that, and that's a good one, sister.
Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
One of country music's all-time great female entertainers will be visiting with me again today to continue talking about her love of fishing. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. Jeannie Pruitt will have some of her angling adventures after this.
Running out of time for holiday shopping? Get your mates a mate.
Fishmate, First Mate, Hunt Mate, or Chef Mate.
The smartphone apps for smart sportsmen and women. Fishmate is the ultimate app for anglers of all kinds. First Mate is perfect for every captain. Hunt Mate helps hunters bag more trophies. And Chef Mate is the new interactive cooking app preloaded with more than 900 recipes. These great gift ideas work on iPhones and Androids. So don't wait. Get your mate a mate. And get it at ConnectedLLCapps.com.
After recording such #1 hits as Satin Sheets, Jeannie Pruitt had little time to do something that she's loved all of her life, fish. But Miss Pruitt loves to go fishing as a means to relax and get away from the pressures of the country music business. So when I asked Jeannie what her favorite fish to go after was, she told me.
Bass, smallmouth.
Smallmouth.
They'll give you a better fight than every other thing in the lake. No matter if it's a half a pound, you'll think till he breaks water, he'll gonna be at least 89. Because he'll give you that good of a fight.
What's your favorite lure?
Well, for a long, long number of years, I think, and I don't know if most of the people are Porter Wagoner, some of the people are still fishing that way or not, but we used to fish with the spring lizards at Center Hill.
But now, what is your secret method to rigging and using water dogs to catch bass?
You know what? So many people ask me about that, and people would think that you'd be afraid to handle spring lizards, and they look like a lizard, just like the kind you see run on the wood and all, except they're shaped just a tiny bit different. But the only way that I've ever tried to fish with them, and I've seen other people do it different ways, but if you take your lips and poke them out just as far as you can get them, see?
Yeah.
And catch them on each corner so that they just make a little like that. And then what you do is take from the bottom of the lip through the top lip and hook them right behind. See, they've got a little hard rind around their lips.
Uh-huh.
And you catch them right in the middle and hook them from the bottom to the top. And you're in business. you know? And then just sling them out there and wait for the big ones to jump the boat.
I'll be back with more after this.
Is this the biggest fishing breakthrough in decades?
It's a revolutionary lure that is the most versatile plastic worm I've ever fished with.
Ever see a plastic worm with a tail that spins 360 degrees like a spinner? How does it do that? Be amazed at rototail.com. That's rototail.com. This new plastic worm effortlessly goes through any weeds and thick cover.
The unique action created by the spinning tail, along with the versatility that you can use this lure, it's amazing.
It puts to shame ordinary plastic worms that either do nothing or just wag back and forth. The tail calls fish from long distances and telegraphs what it's doing back to your rod.
The vibration that you feel on your rod tip is amazing. I never would have imagined in my wildest dreams that a soft plastic spinner, you'd be able to feel the thumping as it comes back to you.
Makes a great gift.
I believe that the Rototail is the next generation of plastic worm.
See it work at rototail.com. That's rototail.com.
Jeannie Pruitt will join me again next time, so I hope you will too. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, tight lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by HuntMate, the ultimate hunting app for your iPhone. And by UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers.
If you like Facebook, you'll love the Sammy Lee page on Facebook. Check out me, Sammy Lee, even more lovable than ever on Facebook.com.
Thank you. There he goes, the lovable Mr. Sammy Lee. He, of course, is from the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. And speaking of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, we have with us one of the greatest bass fishermen of all time, a guy by the name of Guido Hibdon. He won the Bassmaster Classic. That's where I first got to know him. He's still fishing tournaments. He's fishing for bass. He's still in Lake of the Ozarks. Aren't you in Lake of the Ozarks, Guido?
You bet. You bet. As soon as I get through talking with you, me and Dion's going crappie fishing. I mean, it's a fun lake to live on. It's, in hot weather, it's pretty busy. We got a lot of tourists on it. It's a great lake.
It's like an ocean when the weather gets hot with all the barges that are on there. But I guess you got to dodge them.
I had you on it. You know what it's like.
You certainly did. And we were flying across the lake. I was glad I stayed in the boat. I said, who is this guy? Listen, Guido, we were talking about the flying lure. And for those of you who are listening, Guido was probably identified with the flying lure as much as anything else in the early days. You were all over TV, all over the tube. I mean, we made you an international star, I'll have you know.
You did.
You weren't just famous in the US of A. You were famous in Russia, Germany, everywhere where they didn't speak a lick of English. What do you think about that? We had a Croatian cameraman at one point, and your comment was, man, he's really a Yankee.
Yeah, well, the way the deal started, I get offered a lot of things, and down through the years. And it was one of those deals whenever you come to me, I thought, well, it's another gimmick, or whatever, because we get offered a lot of them.
Right.
But it was one of those deals when, if you'll remember, I had Dion get up on that tank, and those poor fish in that, the big show that we had.
Right.
Those fish had been tormented for 3 days.
Correct.
I mean, beat up, and they wouldn't bite anything.
Yep.
And whenever you told me that you said that he could catch all of them, well, I was pretty skeptical. Nevertheless, Dion gets after everybody leaves, and we're still in the show. Dion gets on the tank, and I believe that he could have caught every fish in that tank that had been beat up. So I told Dion, I said, get down. I said, Alex, put it in your pocket. Don't show it to nobody. And I said, we'll make a fortune out of this thing. Well, it catches fish today just like it did then. It's still a great bait. There's a few of them comes along in a lifetime. That's one of them.
I'd like to pat myself on the back, but I really can't. It would be too tough. Did the flying lure actually help you in tournament, or was that all just for show?
It's one of those deals where it helped a number of tournaments. I had one in, let's say, not Okeechobee, but on the St. Johns River.
Yeah.
That I had 2 fish that I knew if I could catch. This is the last day of the tournament.
Yeah.
And I knew if I could catch them, I could win the tournament. And I had been using the tube bait, sneaking around, staying real low in the boat. and catching those fish that were on the bed. And Stella, she said, have you tried, because those two big fish wouldn't bite at all. She said, have you tried the flying lure? Well, I felt like an idiot because there I've got them in the boat, and no, I hadn't tried them. All I'd been doing was trying tube bait, a little baby bug on them, this, that, little worm. And to make a long story short, at 10 o'clock, the last day of that tournament, it was a super bass tournament, is what it was.
Yep.
It was crazy because the first one was an 8-pounder, and whenever I throwed it in there and it went past her, I pulled it and it went past her right in front of her nose, and she jumped and got it, and I caught her.
Wow.
And the next one, I had so much confidence, I stood straight up in the boat. I wanted to see it all take place, pitched it in front of that one, which was a 5-pounder, and caught that one. So, yes, your flying lure definitely helped win that tournament, or I wouldn't have won it. I'm sure I wouldn't have won it. I might have caught a limit,
right?
But I don't think I could have won that tournament. I think Parker ended up second in it, and we had battled it out all week long. Him first, me first, back and forth. And I told him, I said, buddy, after it was all over, I said, you need to get you some of them flying lures. Yeah.
I know Hank, and I've been to his house, and Hank's a great guy, but I never did share any flying lures with him. I feel very sad about that now, but it's okay.
It's helped me and Dion, Payton. Payton's a fishing now, and
I got a million more things I want to ask you. Can you
Alrighty.
Can you stay with us for another segment?
You bet.
And that we'll be back with the great Guido Hibdon himself. Don't go away, folks.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Don't change that dial. Alex will be right back with more of Outdoors This Week after these messages.
Fishing off the railroad track. Fishing off the railroad track. Across from the ridge on this old...
The Wade Bowen Report is brought to you by the original Alex Langer's Flying Lure. Hey, that's my lure! Hundreds of millions have been sold on TV worldwide for over 2 decades. It fishes itself and swims away from you on its own. Catches nearly every game fish that's ever swam. See it at flyinglure.com. That's flyinglure.com.
Want to be protected from the wind and rain and snow when you're hunting for deer or turkeys or other big game? Want your movement concealed so you can ease into a shooting position without being seen? Want to share your hunt with a young or senior hunter who needs special attention? Then consider using a pop-up line. I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Hunt Radio. Today, Joe Arterburn of Cabela says these portable blinds have a lot of redeeming features.
Stay with us. Wade will be right back.
Hey, waterfowl hunters, if you need a shotgun for the new season, check out Mossberg's pumps and autoloaders. They come in black synthetic and camo finishes. They shoot 3 and 3.5-inch shells. They offer great dependability and value. Mossberg is America's oldest family-owned and operated firearms manufacturer. Check out Mossberg shotguns online at mossberg.com. Also, be watching for the new series of Mossberg Duck Commander shotguns later this fall. Mossberg, built rugged, proudly American. Cabela's is the world's foremost outfitter for hunting, fishing, camping, and outdoor gear. They offer more gear than anybody, best selection, prices, and quality, all backed by Cabela's legendary guarantee. Shopping with Cabela's has never been easier or more convenient. You can outfit all your needs through Cabela's catalogs, website, and their many stores. Check them out at Cabela's.com. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter.
This is Wired to Hunt Radio.
Joe Arterburn works for Cabela's, and this time of year when he's not in his office, you can find him outside somewhere hunting for deer or antelope or some other game. And likely as not, Joe will be sitting in a pop-up blind, a portable tent-like blind that totally conceals a hunter, but that has ports that you can watch and shoot through. I commented to Joe that a pop-up blind seems pretty obvious in the field, and I'm surprised that animals wouldn't be scared of it. Here's his reply.
They seem to be surprisingly effective because, I guess to you who goes out there and sets that blind and knows where it is, that it sticks out like a sore thumb. But to game, I think it's definitely something that can work to fool them. I definitely think it helps to put them out early, kind of let them get used to it, get acclimated to it a little bit. But I think it's more their effectiveness is that it hides the movement of the hunter, and that's what scares off more game than anything is the game animals seeing movement, whether it's turkey, deer, or whatever. So anything that can obscure that, hide that, is going to be a benefit to the hunter.
That's Joe Arterburn talking about the features of hunting from a pop-up blind. And you can check out Cabela's full line of pop-up blinds on its website, Cabela's.com. And that's today's Wired to Hunt Radio. I'm Wade Born-Singh. Thanks for listening, and get outside.
Thanks a lot, Wade. And we have with us today the legendary Mr. Guido Hibdon. And Guido has been a friend of mine for many years. It's really been a couple of decades now, hasn't it, Guido?
It's been a long time, bub.
I know. Time does fly. Ricky Clunn has moved up your way. I heard he's hanging out with you now. Is that correct?
I mean, he's, he was out west there for a while. I talked to him at one of the big tackle shows, and I said, why in the world do you live out west? I said, won't you come back and live by me? And I said, we can have a ball. I said, in our old age. By golly, he done it. I mean, we're not that close. I mean, he's about 75 miles from me, but
right.
We get to do a lot together now.
Right. He's a great guy. He thinks the world of you. The one thing that I always liked about you, besides your honesty, you were the first one on a professional level that I ever remember with spinning tackle. How come? Why spinning tackle?
Alex, that's just something that I like to do. You show me anybody that has made a career out of fishing, out of tournament fishing,
right? That
don't use a spinning rod some, and you name me one, because there ain't none. There might have used to be, but it was Ricky was one of them that used to make fun of me.
Really?
You open the rod box on any of the guys' boats anymore, and they've all got spinning tackle in there. They might not use it as much as we do, but
right.
It's there are just certain things that you do with a spinning rod that you can't do with a casting rod. Tipping, mainly. I mean, Dion does it very well with a casting rod.
Really?
But if you want it way back in there, you have to use a spinning rod.
Correct. Did you and Dion make it okay for pros to use spinning equipment?
I don't know. There was a lot of people that back whenever I first started that made, they all had something to say about it. This one or that one. I won't name names, but there was a lot of them that just thought, I guess, that you couldn't compete.
Right.
And then, there was 3 years in a row that every tournament, I made a check in. I might not have won them, but I made a check.
Yeah.
Every tournament, 3 years in a row. I was Angler of the Year in bass. I was Angler of the Year in U.S. bass, and I was Angler of the Year in Operation Bass.
Right.
Buddy, let me tell you something. They could all talk all they want to, but I don't know of anybody else that's ever won Angler of the Year 3 different tournament circuits the same year and done that 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Spinning tackle is here to stay. It always will be. Yeah.
What is the most important thing you've learned in all of your years of fishing? Give us the pearl of wisdom or 2 or 3 that you learned.
There's more fishermen now.
Right.
I mean, it used to be if you heard a boat coming down the lake, you would turn around and look.
Right.
Today, if you're on Lake of the Ozarks, there's boats running all the time.
Forget it.
The biggest majority of them are bass boats.
Right.
So is there anything wrong with learning how to fish light line, little bitty baits? No, not a bit, because they will outfish anything else at times.
Right.
So learn how to do it. I'm not against learning anything, but what people, they watch Kevin. Kevin uses a spinning rod.
Yep.
He's a power fisherman, moves fast, but there's times that he has to slow down and throw that little bitty stuff and to get that 1 or 2 more in the boat.
Right.
And that's with any of us. There's more pressure on the lakes than there used to be. I think the lakes are in better shape now than they used to be because we've taught people to turn the bass back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything against anybody keeping a bass, it's a far cry from what it used to be, where, you bragged about having a cooler full. It's learn how to fish little bitty light stuff, and you'll become a better fisherman.
Guido, we got to leave it right there. I'd like to talk to you for another couple of hours, but unfortunately, the old clock in the wall has said we can't do that. Good luck in whatever you do. You're going crappie fishing, right?
We're going crappie fishing here in about 10 minutes.
All right, go catch a couple from me.
I appreciate it.
And catch one for Lynn, too, all right?
Yeah, catch one for me.
All right, bye-bye.
Alex Langer, Outdoors This Week.